Welcome to the Y.E.S show number 12.
Number 12.
That's right. We have a very special guest today, and I'm so pumped up. Thank you, Sarah, for being here. Jerry, you want to introduce?
Absolutely.
Formally
yes.
introduce Sarah?
Yep. Sarah Halligan is someone I heard her story from my wife, and she has an amazing entrepreneur story, but also equally, and if not definitely more important than that, is her survivor story. And we'll kind of get into that here in a little bit. But for about the past 6 months, Sarah has been running her small business. It's called Turtle Bows, and I'm a huge fan of those bows. My daughters sport those bows, and it's actually a very, very amazing product, and we can get into it a little bit later, but Sarah was telling me that people are buying them as far away as Guatemala, which is pretty amazing.
Oh, that is amazing.
So yeah, and we'll start off the show again today with a little quote, and it's more of lyrics really from a song that I heard, and some of you may be familiar with the NBA championship. I actually caught about half of one, I think it was first or second game, but for some reason I must not have been paying attention. I didn't hear the song, and I was doing a little search the other day looking for motivation to work out, and it's a song by The Roots, and it starts off saying, "Success in life comes when you simply refuse to give up, on a mission so strong that obstacles like failure and loss only act as motivation. I mean, like no one has the power to shatter your dreams." And it goes on. It's a highly.
I missed that song too. I watched most of the games, but I didn't catch the song. But thank you for that. What is it? Is that like a rap song?
It's a rap song. You may not have felt that.
So you got that from your hip hop playlist.
My hip hop playlist, yeah. Yes. And but it's an amazing song. If you keep reading down into the it's a highly inspirational song, and it's all about hard work, effort, not giving up, and not being afraid of failure. And that kind of ties into the quote that you have, I believe, Sarah. You had discussed that it's one of your favorites.
Yeah, it's like I said. I don't know who it's by, but I hear it all the time, and it kind of, it touches home, especially now with my journey, plus just in life in general. And it's, don't be afraid to fail, because only through failure do you learn to succeed. That's and awesome. How do you know what success is if you haven't failed? Mm-hmm. You don't know what to work towards if you've always had it kind of up here as opposed to hitting the bottom and knowing how to work up.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah. That brings a very great point, Sarah, that failure, we all think of failure, and I was listening to something this morning as well that brought things to a different perspective, because when we think of failure, I don't want to do that because I don't want to fail. It's more of our own ego being selfish, because we have so much that we can contribute to our community, to the world, like your example. I'm looking forward to hearing that, but had you have thought, hey, I don't want to do this because what if I fail? You wouldn't have been able to give hope or reach out to people even across the world that you've been reaching out to.
I did think that.
Yeah.
And
So
we'll talk more about that, because there's, it's still a fear every day. Because I think expectations of wanting to succeed or reach people is very intimidating too. Because how do you get to that point without just doing it? But it's very scary.
Yeah, absolutely. But if you think of it as, hey, I have a gift for somebody, or what if I, kind of like our show, what if we just reach one person in the community that could take action? And yeah, what if we fail? What if people call us idiots, or what are you doing? You're doing this on an iPhone. The lighting and this and that, or other, you're stuttering too much. But if we could just give hope, and yes, continue to get better and continue to be more, get better equipment or what have you. But all of this is just something that we want to give hope to. And again, appreciate that quote.
I've heard the analogy in a book. I think it was in The Traveler's Gift, and it said it's the small person keeping the big person trapped. Because we all have that big person inside, and it's that ego, that little person that's keeping keeping that subdues that big person. So I always thought that was a pretty interesting analogy. So
Yeah, we could go on and on that subject alone.
Yeah.
I love that stuff. Well, Sarah, let's get into the interview. We want to know, how was it growing up, and were you born here in Yuma? Give us a little background on your childhood.
I was born and raised up until 13 in Nebraska in a small rural town out on a ranch. Grew up around rodeo and loved the outdoors. And then my stepdad took a position down here with Arizona Game and Fish, and we've been down here since.
Awesome.
To junior high and high school here.
Okay. How was your childhood growing up?
Really good.
Yeah.
Really good. Laid back. I'm a quiet person for the most part, so I mean I'm very family oriented. So I did a lot with my family, and if anything, if I did go out, it was for sports.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very
Sports.
long.
Tell us about sports.
I grew up playing everything. My parents were both always involved. They were my coaches, which is a good thing and a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
In Nebraska, I feel that, my parents they also played all kinds of things. There were things there for them to do. So I grew up around them, watching them, and that was motivation for me and I liked being involved with all of that as well. So down here, I got involved in travel softball as soon as we moved here, so that helped me meet people and kind of find my group with not having, knowing anyone down here or it being completely different than where I was from.
So that took you out of your comfort zone for sure.
Absolutely.
Moving and
yes, begging my mom not to. I'll try school next week.
Yeah.
So it's very hard. I'm a very introvert, I guess you would call it.
Oh yeah, we all have tendencies, especially that age of being in junior high. I remember that being such a confusing time. People, from elementary school to junior high seems to be such a transition period where friends change, and then moving almost entirely across the country to southwestern Arizona from Nebraska. Yeah, there's probably some similarities between, we're a fairly rural community, but I mean there's many things that are different. But that probably added to your grit, I think. Having to meet new people, get outside of your comfort zone.
Yes, and I recommend that to a lot of people when I was coaching, which we'll talk about. I always wanted people to get out, try it, because how do you know what's out there unless you go? And I think me leaving Yuma and going off to college completely across the country really helped me kind of even more come out of my shell a little bit, to where, okay, you can survive on your own and it's okay to meet new people and just kind of figure out where you fit and where home really is.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you went to college across the country to play softball, or what did you do?
Volleyball is what I first initially received my scholarship in, and then because I had a softball background, I also received many scholarship from that.
So you played both?
Yes.
Wow, isn't that unheard of to play two sports in college?
It was just a little Division II. It wasn't like a major, but it was
no big deal.
She's being humble.
No big deal. I just played two sports. And,
my focus was on volleyball. I only really played one full year of softball because I didn't have it. I've had surgeries on shoulder and it just wasn't there, and I didn't want to blow it throwing a game or something. So.
Sure.
Wow. So how was the college life? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I absolutely loved it, of course. But I actually went to AWC my first year. I played for Carrie Messersmith, who coached volleyball at AWC for several years through club ball through high school. So that's she was my mentor. She was completely amazing, and you'll hear about her. She's just being inducted into the Hall of Fame over at Georgia Southern now, but she's coaching at Alabama Birmingham. I mean, she's just she's amazing. And and then also Faith Klostrike, who is the principal of Yuma High. She was also a coach, and she again inspired me to. She was tough on us, but I think that you need that, because you still felt that. I guess the harder I feel like people are on you, the higher their expectations are. They're not being mean to you. They're trying to push you because they know where your limit is.
Absolutely.
And she did that, and both of them did that. And so I've kind of always thanked them for it, because I get discouraged very easily because I'm my own worst critic.
Oh yeah.
And so those two kind of helped get me there. So anyway, back to the original question. I signed with AWC my senior year of high school, and Messersmith left and went to Georgia Southern right after I signed. devastation hit. The coach that came in, him and I did not get along at all. So I was actually kicked off the team and had nowhere to go. And a coach from Phoenix, we played Phoenix College as well at AWC, saw me and recommended me to this program over in North Carolina.
Oh,
And that's
awesome.
how I got there.
Awesome. And what was the name of the school?
Belmont Abbey.
Belmont Abbey. Okay. And then while there, what did you study?
I studied sports management because I wanted to be in the athletic field somewhere. I wanted to coach volleyball. I knew that. And then I wanted to be, Parks and Rec director or something just involving sports because it was something that
So you're
I
passionate
knew.
about sports.
I was.
Okay. Cool. Do you think that sports helps a lot of like kids, or why are you so passionate about sports?
I think it's just always been in my family, and it's kind of what we did. Family gatherings, we played some type of game, or we're all very extremely competitive. So I think that's kind of why I fell in love with it. And like I said, I wouldn't have gone to college or anything if I wouldn't have had that to kind of give me the motivation, because you have to go to play, So I kind of think that it just kind of kept me going, pushing me further and further.
Definitely helps you, I think, helps you go with goal setting and realizing your limitations, or that your limitations are so much, you have so much more ability than you give yourself credit for. I think, like you said, I'm my own worst critic, and I think people that excel are their own worst critic. And having someone that can coach you to push you to realize your potential is so key. It's so critical. In working out and sports and in business, I mean that's key.
Yeah,
so,
you notice that like a lot of high achievers, like after professional athletes or even college athletes are really competitive, but they're almost always successful in business. And I think it's because of that. You have that mindset, you have that discipline, you learn a lot of things.
And you're looking for the next challenge. What's because you want to compete.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so you graduate. You graduated. You came back to Yuma, and then you coached for a little while.
I coached for a couple years at Yuma Catholic, and like I said, my expectations were different than what was presented there at the time. It's been 10 years now since I left and did that, and I was also teaching at Immaculate Conception School. So that the two schedules, because I wasn't at the high school, kind of didn't match. So and with the different outlooks on what I wanted my program to be and kind of what was there at the time, they just didn't match up, and so I left that and continued teaching.
At IC?
I taught for 9 years, and just recently I left 2 years ago now.
Wow, okay. Okay. And so that really kind of ties in with, the other, part of this interview is, so can you tell us a little bit about your recent battle with cancer and how that ultimately led into Turtle Bows?
Well, what happened, I was diagnosed October 30th, and
what year in October?
This 2015.
Wow.
So it's just recent. And I went through the surgery right away, and January hit, and that's when I started chemo. And
so it was stage.
It was stage 2B. Invasive ductal carcinoma was the tumor, and then I had the precancer throughout the entire left side. Nothing was on the right side, so that was really good. And it had spread into the lymph nodes, which also gives stages. 3 were only infected, but your lymphatic system is way more important than we would ever know.
Sure.
So they had, I was set up with 6 treatments and was given the option, because once I had the surgery, technically the cancer was all removed. With my age, they said that they were going to be very invasive with the treatment because I was so young, and it's not common. It's more common than you think it is, though, now happening in younger people all the time, which is scary, but I will say the information that I read, there's a lot out there to help.
Yeah. So on a scale of 1 to 10 from a severity, I mean, is this a 10 for you? I mean, was this something where they caught it early enough?
They did catch it very early,
Uh-huh.
which it doesn't sound like it when you stage it. Staging is based upon the size of the tumor. But for a while, and still every now and then I get scared, but I thought this was the end. And all I could think about was my 1-year-old daughter and why was this fair to her? But like I said, once after the surgery, I didn't even have to have the treatment. It was just kind of one of those things, you're stupid if you don't, because of your age. Because there are such things as microcells that they may not have gotten in the surgery or not, that kind of live and could be reactivated. So the chemo kills all of that. And I had 6 rounds of that, and then I had 36 or 32, I can't remember. It was supposed to be 36 rounds of radiation, 6 weeks, Monday through Friday.
Wow.
So that, and again, it was to kill any little thing that you could possibly think of that was in there. So I chose to go with that because I thought, why would you risk not being here? It was a horrible 5 months for sure. Radiation wasn't nearly as hard or as the chemo. The chemo was terrible.
How did you find out, or what? Do you remember the day that you found out?
I don't remember the day exactly. I found a lump. I had just miscarried with our second, and the doctors said it was a blessing, and I believe that it was this baby. I call it a she. I have no idea why. Probably because I have a girl. Was our angel to help me find it, because they said if I wouldn't have been, I wouldn't have found it. So, and now I have this believing. I tell people it sounds so cliche that it was actually a gift. It kind of has put my life back into perspective, like we were talking, what is important and what is not. And I think I kind of got wrapped up in things, just everyday life that you just forget, and what I used to complain about, now I'm thankful that I'm here to even complain about it.
Sure.
So it was life-changing for sure. So I started chemo in January, and my first treatment was 8 hours. I was there for 8 hours.
Wow. Of the chemo?
Of the chemo,
wow.
For one day. It's a very long day.
And so, I don't really, so is that, you have an IV bag?
Just an IV bag, and they're switching out your bags through the whole day, but it has to go in, like one is an hour, you have to wait in between, and then start another one, and so I was getting four different drugs at the time.
Wow.
And so I thought, this is really boring, and to sit there and worry about what's going to happen next, or because it was once every 3 weeks, so it's like, I needed something to keep me busy. Just sitting there was not doing anything, and I don't play games on my phone. I don't do any of that.
Yeah.
So
no Pokemon Go or whatever it's called now.
I'm not that savvy, I guess, with technology. So I told my husband, I was like, I'm gonna buy a headband kit and sit here and make some for my daughter, since it's the least I can do for her, since I can't be with her. And I'm, the chemo would knock me down for about 2.5 weeks, and just about when I feel good again, I had to go back and get it. So I thought, I'm gonna do something for her. It was my way of, I guess, making myself feel like I was a mom still at times. And I made a few, and her batch was really rough, because it was the first time I had ever done any of that. And I posted them on Facebook and just shared, this is what I'm doing during my time. And everyone's like, you should sell those. Those are really pretty. And I, thought, I don't know, because again, I don't want to fail. I don't want anybody to say, oh, these are crap, or these aren't good. Criticism is...
You have to put yourself out there.
Exactly. That's why I love that quote, so I thought, you know what else are you going to do? So I went and bought all the materials for it, and we came up with the name Turtle Bows, because when my daughter kind of first started talking and stuff, her favorite word was turtle. She loved turtles.
Oh, wow.
And so my husband kind of actually thought of the name, but so it's kind of a special name for us, just because everything was turtle.
That's amazing. So go ahead, Edward.
Okay, the bow is that something that? Why did you think of bows? Because of your daughter, as far as just a headband, or did you think of anything else to do, or is that
It started off as just the headbands. And then once I lost my hair, I started wearing hats all the time, because that was, everyone asked me the worst part. Yeah, chemo made me sick and it made me not feel good, but losing my hair as a woman, that is kind of our identity to an extent. You always have it, you've never not had it, and as a baby you don't remember not having hair. So that really hit hard for me. I was very self-conscious about it. I didn't like the way I looked, still don't. But so in the wintertime, those little turban hats, were great.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have winter for very long here, and my treatment was January to April, so it got very warm come mid-February. So I started looking around, and we went back up to the cancer center in Phoenix, and I found a hat. Well, it was $40, and I thought, well, that's crazy, but I need it because it's too hot. It's just the ball cap, but it had all the flowers and stuff on it, and I looked at it, and I was like, I actually have those flowers and the material for it. I was like, I could make this. And then it was like a light bulb went on. And even though I loved making the headbands, the hats have now become very, very dear to me, and it means a lot because I want it to end up being what goes into that cancer center. So that way people have, because yes, they have stuff there, but nothing for the younger generation and everything, because it's new for the younger generation to be going through what we're going through now as the cancer patients. So I started making the hats, and the hats have really taken off, even for just, I don't want to say regular people, but non-cancer patients. People really like them because we're in Arizona where it's sunning all the time, you know.
Yeah.
So hats, I also have started those too.
Yeah, my wife and her friend, they got a couple for for their cheerleading squad. You know, they wear them when they go work out in the park and stuff, and so.
Nice. So how big is the operation right now?
And what do you mean?
Like how many hats and headbands are you making?
To be honest, I'm not quite sure. I'd have to look at my paper for that. There was a time where it was nonstop. I had sent out over 40 packages within a week.
Wow.
It got kind of exhausting to keep up with. It was awesome, but like I was telling Jerry, I have kind of taken a break. I finished all my treatment, and I thought, you know what, I just need time for me and my family, and so after next week I'm hoping to get back going, because I still do have a lot of people wanted stuff for school, for their kids or whatever. So, and I have a project going with the cancer center, so I'm hoping I got to get some hats made to hopefully get those in there as well.
Oh, that's awesome. The cancer center local here.
Yes, locally.
Okay. That's great. And so have you? I mean, so a lot of this has been kind of organic through Facebook and people sharing. I know my neighbors in Tucson have bought a bunch of stuff from you.
I just threw it on Facebook. Started a group page. I mean, it's not even like a business page, and just to kind of get an idea or throw it out there again. When I first started, I don't know what's to come of this, but here, that way people from back home in Nebraska. I mean, it's gone there. It's gone to New York. It's gone to North Carolina. Everywhere. So, I did a giveaway. So add people to the group and get a free whatever. And so just to kind of get more people, and I'm up to 323, I think, right now. So, and that all happened within 3 days.
Oh, wow.
So a lot of people shared. People have been extremely supportive. It started out as just my friends, and then people just continued to share and share and share. And I always ask, please, if you buy it, post a picture on my page so people can see that it's what it looks like on, or kind of the type of headbands that they are. I started making to where I was like, these are the only ones I'm going to make. I don't do custom orders. I don't, because again, scared to try anything or to feel that pressure, because I don't want to fail. I'm a perfectionist, and I don't want to fail. But now I've gotten requests. Your wife example, Danelle asked me to, I have these dresses, can you match something to these dresses? Done. So I'm getting more, as everything keeps coming in, I'm like, okay, I'll try this, but the pressure of, oh my gosh, what if they don't like it, is still very, very scary.
And what if they do like it and the orders are, I'm
sure
that,
and
what if that's
exactly,
mine
that's
too?
what happens. Yeah, exactly. That's what gets me to motivate it. But I feel like I kind of get annoying though as well, because as I'm making them, it's like, oh, do you like it? Do you want this? Is this okay? Because again, I don't want anything negative to come, because I feel like people are extremely critical of certain things.
Now I want to ask you something kind of off the subject, but you did mention it a couple times before we run into the last questions, but you said that the doctors told you that more and more younger people are getting this type of disease, cancer. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that's happening?
That's a question that I get asked all the time, and honestly, nobody has an answer, because I ask them why as well. We can sit here. I've read several books. We researched cancer like you wouldn't believe. They tell you not to, but you have to be your own advocate. I don't know if they're finding it more now just because we have the technology to do it, or if it is happening more often. I don't know. Mine wasn't because of anything that I ate or anything that I did. It was estrogen fed, something that our bodies as females naturally produce. So there's nothing that I could have done or changed, which at first I thought, what did I ever do to deserve something? Did I eat bad? Did I whatever? So I don't know if it's just with all the new medicine and everything that they have, if they're just able to find it earlier, or if it is something out there. We now buy organic. We wash everything like crazy because you become kind of a paranoid person with everything, and especially the more that you read, you do find out that it's scary out there, kind of what.
Well, there's definitely a balance between trying to feed this growing world population and some of the things that they're doing to, increase yields and stuff like that. And but you definitely you do. I agree. You have to be your own advocate. And we reread labels, and our generation has read labels, and they're like no other. We want to know what we're eating, right, and we want to definitely know what we're feeding our children. And so I've got a question for you that might be a little tough to answer, but I think it's important to share. So, would you change anything if you could go back? If you could change it, would you change? Would you change what you had to go through?
Yes, because I never, nobody ever wants to go through it, but no, both ways. I'm dear friends with Father Richard, who was a priest at Immaculate Conception, but now is in Parker, and we were talking this past week, and he's like, oh, what is the word that they call it? I was sharing the project that I'm hoping to get brought into the cancer center with the hats and stuff like that. There's more to it, but we won't talk about that. And he said, this is your calling. This is what you're supposed to do. And I think, like I said before, that God has a different way of telling you, hey, this is what I need you to do. And mine, this is how he was, I guess, going to get through to me with it. So parts of it I would have loved to have changed and never, because I feel it was hard for my daughter, and I think that was the worst thing, was because then, I said, we get up to this and I have surgery. Well, I couldn't hold her for 2 weeks. How do you tell a child that you hold every single day, all of a sudden, because her life she doesn't understand, because she's only a year and a half, Mommy can't hold you right now. And so that's what I wish I could change, is everything that she went through. I think I'm okay with it, because like I said, I think it's something wonderful and powerful has came out of this, and I hope to bring it to other people and share and inspire. And I know it sounds so cliche. The doctors always ask me, well, are you gonna go back to work, or what do you want to do? And it's like, this is what I want to be there, and I want to give back, and I want this business to grow kind of for the cancer world more than, and I don't mean this towards my customers now, because I love making them for the babies, but that's kind of where my heart's going to be at, is with cancer patients.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I guess no and yes. No for me, yes for my daughter. I wish it would have been different.
And then that's an amazing thing to think about, because that's you're so much stronger coming through it, and I would imagine your family has grown stronger as well.
Yes.
But it's like, oh man, if I could just erase all of the pain, and so unfortunately though, like you had mentioned, that faith component, and looking at, you could have easily taken a different mindset and been the victim.
It's funny that you say that, because throughout times I wanted to get angry, and I wanted to be mad and say, why, God? But then I thought, and this is going to sound really silly, and please feel free to laugh, but I thought, no, if you do that, or you feel sorry for yourself through any part of this, God's in control of your life, clearly, and I'm a control freak, so I think it was kind of like, you need to let go.
That's a common thread.
That he was going to take me away. And I know that sounds silly, and this is the first time I've ever openly said it, but of course I told my husband and stuff. I always thought, this is your second chance. God's giving you a second chance at life. Just take it and know that He's going to help you through it. It may not be easy, but He's going to be there. And I'm very strong in my faith, and so I do believe that has helped me through it.
That's awesome. That is amazing.
Thank you for sharing that story. I know it's really deep, and we got a lot out of that. So.
If that doesn't motivate you guys, nothing will. So
we're right about at the time where we're kind of running over again. But again, this interview is just fascinating, and want to acknowledge you. Thank you again for taking the time, being here, sharing this difficult story. But I know there's a lot of people out there who need some sort of motivation. They may be going through something like this, and they may need an outlet like you just mentioned to us. And it may not be clothes. It could be anything. It could be whatever their heart desires. But there's a lot of people out there that are going to get a lot from your story. And with our community, we always ask anything that you want, a piece of advice, business advice, personal advice. What can you share with us that we can take away, and you just help one person, or whatever you want to share? What would that be?
That's a very hard question. To just, if it's on your mind, try it. It never hurts to try it, because, go back to my quote, failing only helps you succeed. Because you know that's where you don't want to be. Well, then what are you going to do to make it better? So try it. If it's there, it doesn't hurt to try it.
Awesome advice. So there you have it.
I have to say, this is very inspirational. I really appreciate it. I mean, guys, this is it right here. Look at the people that we have in this community that are doing big things, and we applaud you for taking the not being a victim, and for going out and not being afraid to fail, and to creating a really cool business that is going to have an impact on like you said, a group of people that are a new group of people. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, they're here and they need that support, and you've been through there, so you're going to be able to help these people through an entrepreneurial endeavor and effort, that's what entrepreneurs do. They find problems in the economy and they solve them. And so this one is just, near and dear to everyone's heart. People, families have, all sorts of different types of cancer. So I just really applaud you, and thank you very much for coming. It was such an amazing interview.
Yes.
Thank you.
And we thank you for joining us. Look for us again next week. Have an awesome week. Be blessed, and we'll see you next Friday.